A bunch of people have been reaching out to me asking about some recent changes to the 6-month rule in UAE. And there's some confusion on this. I don't know exactly where it comes from, but for some reason people have a little bit of a mistaken impression. And so today I'm going to tell you about the changes that UAE has introduced to the 6-month rule pertaining to resident permit holders. So stick around, we will discuss that and how it affects you. And if not this, what are some other solutions? So let's dive in. Now, to give some context to this, it's helpful to understand the way that UAE residence permits have worked for quite a while. And this is that the majority of them, you need to visit the country once every 6 months, or typically once every 180 days. So what this would mean is that, let's say that you leave on, I don't know, the 1st of February, and you decide to be away for a while. Well, you need to come back in 6 months or less from that period of time, or 180 days from that time. So you can kind of calculate February, March, April, May, June, July, right? So that would be kind of give you the benchmark for how long it would be. And if you didn't, you could have your visa canceled, okay? And the idea was that it was consistently canceled. Now, this is not a crazy amount of time that you need to spend in the country. I mean, literally all you had to do was fly into the airport, cross customs, and go back out, and you would meet that standard of having been in the UAE once every 6 months. And so this was perfectly fine if you're, for example, transiting from Europe to Asia or back. If you're going to Africa, something like that, it's a great hub. You could fly through there. It's pretty easy to maintain, even if you're not living in UAE. You can also fly, although it's a little bit inconvenient, to North America, to South America. In fact, actually the most popular route of flying from Japan to Brazil is through Dubai. So there's a bunch of options for you in this regard. However, there are certain times where just because of the nature of life, somebody might be traveling, they might be on the other side of the world, and it's super inconvenient to come back from some other part of the world into UAE. So they decided to make some changes to this recently, and I think probably because of a lot of seeming global pressure, etc., the belief that some people had was, oh no, now you need to spend 6 months in the country, and if you don't, you're going to have your visa canceled. This is not true. In fact, the opposite basically is true. Okay, so the amount of time you need to spend in UAE has not gone up. There's no new, if you're not in the country for 6 months, you'll have an issue. What it is actually is that whereas before your visa could get automatically canceled, right? Meaning if you were out of the country for 7 months, for example, then your visa would get canceled and that's a pain. Now they allow you to re-enter through a re-entry permit. So there is kind of some allowance for people who are going to stay out for longer. Now, what they're saying is you have to apply in advance. There's a website you can go and do it through. You have to supply a reason for why you were out and pay. It's I think like 100 dirhams a day or something like that, or 100 dirhams per 30 days. So, anyway, it's a nominal fee. It's not a lot of money for the extra period of time that you're out. I believe it's 100 dirhams per 30 days. So you can go a long time without having issues. Now, conceivably, there is some limitation on how long they will allow you to extend this. You can't just indefinitely be out and not have issues with your visa, but they're being more permissive in terms of what it is that they're allowing. And so obviously this makes things a little bit easier. I know there's certainly been times when I've been traveling that I think, okay, if it happened to be that what was going on in my life at that time happened to show up in the end of this 6-month window rather than the middle of this 6-month window, then that would be more of a concern. Anyway, just to clarify, so number one, it's not that you need to spend 6 months a year. You don't. You need to visit once every 6 months. However, now they're permitting you to go beyond that and basically apply. You have to apply in advance before coming and extend it. Your visa will no longer automatically be canceled. So that's pretty cool. Number two, this 6 months thing is not twice in a 1 year period. It always resets from the time you leave. So if you come to UAE, you're in UAE for, let's say, 3 months, and then you leave, well, now you have 6 months to come back again. So that's kind of an explanation of how it works. Now, this is not going to be the case for all visas. Some visas are more permissive. And so, for example, if you get a golden visas have no requirement to be in the country. So pretty easy to maintain, obviously, if you're in that situation. Now, they typically have to be renewed depending on the situation every 5 or 10 years, but 5 or 10 years is a pretty long time. I don't think it's too much of a sacrifice to say that somebody has to come back once every 10 years in order to renew their visa. So pretty simple in that regard and pretty accessible. As I've mentioned, I've got some other videos you can check out on some of the golden visa programs, how to get golden visas, how the requirements have come down. It's pretty accessible for real estate investment. In fact, I think it's almost worth it if you're going to invest in some real estate anyway to do it and get a UAE golden visa, just so you have that option alternatively, because it's definitely not a large amount of money and you can find some okay deals. I wouldn't say that the real estate market is attractive at this point in time. There was a period of time during COVID where it was, but not anymore. Now it's questionable, but certainly you're probably not going to do too terribly if you go and shop around and find a good deal. So anyway, I hope that helps. If you have questions, if you're interested in getting a residency permit in UAE, if you're interested in forming a company, if you're interested in going somewhere else and figure there's some other solution, please reach out to us. You can book a call with me, calendar.com/Michael-Rosmer. There's a link in the description below, or send a message through offshorecitizen.net, and we will be happy to help you.